Welcome to the NSI podcast, where technology, innovation, and strategy come together to empower today's IT leaders. In this episode, we continue our conversation with Annebelle Davies, shifting the focus from individual leadership to teams and culture. We dive into how IT and security leaders can evolve from constant problem solvers into strategic business leaders, and how communication, energy, and culture ultimately determine whether teams thrive or burn out. We're talking about teams and such. So I want to talk about like culture. How can IT leaders shift from problem solvers to business leaders? Because of course they're always problem solvers, but for their team to look at them as a leader.
Yeah, I would like to know more about what that looks like. So clarify for me a little bit,
Okay.
because I wasn't sure.
Well, I feel like, leaders, they're always employees come to them to fix problems all the time, and how can they move to a more strategic business leader instead of just a problem solver, where they can, I guess, navigate their team, not just to solve their problems, but to be their leader and guide and direct them in that way instead of just solving all their problems, I would say.
Yeah. So to me, it would come down to communication, setting those expectations, and just painting the picture for your team of what that looks like. So I saw a diagram one time, and they're A, B, and C team players or employees.
Mm-hmm.
The C employees do the bare minimum. They'll show up on time. They'll also bring you a problem for you to solve.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Then there's the B players. They'll show up to work on time, do the bare minimum, and if there's a problem, they'll come up with a possible solution, and then they'll bring it to you for you to solve them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's A players, where they're there, they take initiative, they have multiple solutions to a problem that they see, and when they have been given that previous permission, they've already taken initiative and solved the problem, and then keyed you in to, hey, there was a problem, I fixed it this way, just keeping you in the loop, right? And so the leader's position is to onboard and train your employees and your team with what is it, not what are you allowed to do, but like, here are the expectations, here's what I'm looking for, here, like, what are your goals for your position? So having those communications, understanding why it's important to them to be working, where they want to go in their career, where they want to go in their position, and then helping everybody understand why is each person's position so important to the team.
Right. And the easiest thing would be all of our employees be that a person, our CFO, which is my boss, he always says, you teach people how to treat you. And it resonates so profoundly because, that's the truth. You can hire, it's all about the hiring process too, and picking the right candidate for the job and for your culture and your team. But also, like you said, you've got to teach them your expectations. But yeah, that's good advice too. So what about when our team, we're trying to create that high performers, like you say, teaching them how to be high performers. Do you
hire a certified high performance coach, get them in there, teach your team?
Yeah. Yes, I would. Yes, that would be the answer for sure. But how do you create, instead of creating unhealthy competition? Do you see that when you in high performance coaching, like with a team, is there unhealthy competition? Is there? I don't guess I've seen that in our culture, but do you see that? Not really.
I've not seen that at all in it with there's a level of generosity and service that comes with higher positions. And the most successful people you've ever met, the most successful high performers you've ever met are some of the most generous people that I
Right.
think I've ever met. And so are they competitive? Yes, but in a healthy way, and in a way
Right.
that they're holding each other accountable. And so I would say it'd be like a positive competitiveness, because they're not going to let their friend who's also a high performer like sell themselves short.
Right.
But as for the negative competition, I don't think I've never personally experienced it yet.
Right. Well, that's good. That's good news.
So, but in a scenario where there might be that, so paint a picture for me. What does a high performing team look like to you?
You always ask great questions. A high performing team.
Or how is that different from like the team that you were picturing when you asked the question?
I mean, of course, our team at Next Step, we have individual teams, I guess, within the company. Um, and, of course, I'm partial to our team. And I feel like we work real well together. And I just can't say enough about our team. And it's three of us. And um, I feel like we do pretty good. I don't know what I'm getting at here, but you said to paint a
So
picture, and all I can think about is our team. Like,
yeah.
We always
Well,
say, we never say that's not my job.
Mhm.
That's a rule of ours. We just don't say that. You'll hear that like so and so. Well, that's not my job. We don't say that. We're a team, and we all do. We all help each other out and backfill or whatever we need to do, and we really worked well together. Um, and I want that for all teams. And I always want to figure out like what's missing there. Is it communication on teams that are falling short, or would you say when I see a team that's just not working well together, I'm like, what's going on? Would you say it's like the communication, or maybe just one person's negativity? Or, I mean, I guess it could be a lot of things. It could be their personal life, just negativity, um, or do you think they might just feel like they're not valued in the company? I don't know.
Gosh,
I always just wonder
it
about that. Like,
yeah,
why does that team
it's gonna
not
come
work well?
down it's gonna come down to the team. But I would say communication is at the core of it. If like as a broad answer, it's gonna be communication. But I would say if a team isn't working well together, it would be good for them to get really clear on the purpose of their team and why it's important to them. Because most of the time, if somebody's struggling with something, they've usually disconnected from, why am I doing this in the first place? Why is it important that I show up and do my very best, regardless of anybody else's attitudes? Why is it important that, like, what impact am I trying to make here?
Right.
And oftentimes it's usually a disconnection from one of those things when people have stopped becoming a higher performer and they've kind of gotten into the mode of just autopilot. I'm like, no, I'm just showing up now and
Yeah.
dissociating from work instead of actually being present. So
Right.
I
Okay.
would say that'd be a key.
Well, whenever we met, you asked such good questions. So, if you could coach every CISO or IT leader on one habit or to adopt immediately, what would it be? Or what
Ooh,
question would you ask? I don't know. I just always think of your questions that you ask. I'm like, we'll have them in my mind, and I'll be like, yeah. Like, I can't
okay.
remember the exact question. Like, what do you want your what are your 4 top questions you ask? They always help me so much.
Okay, let me paint a picture here. So we'd be looking at a leader, likely who's had a ton of experience in putting out fires often, who always they have a heavy workload on themselves. And there's a major risk. So it's likely they're going to lose their job within what I think that I read somewhere that a CISO's average jobs time span is like 2 to 3 years before a breach happens, and then they lose it, and then they have to like update their resume and get another job. I don't know if that's actually accurate, but that's what I read. It's a huge turnover rate. So there's a level of inevitability in there. And so what one habit would I instill, like would I have them practice and instill right away? Gosh, it's going to depend on the person, but it's like I immediately wanted to say courage, but I feel like they've already practiced so much courage in their position, so maybe not courage. I would come back to clarity. Clarity is just having the vision, the picture, the goal of exactly what you want your life to look like and the kind of person that you want to be. When you are solid and centered in that, whatever that looks like, maybe a CISO, he's not there yet because he's like, well, I'm like 40 pounds overweight and can't even make it up the stairs when I'm running to try and get to my team. And so the picture of my best leader self would be like, I'm stronger, I'm healthier. So the sense of clarity would be, we would start working on the health side of things. If the clarity part is like, you know what, I feel very solid in my job, but my relationship with my wife is falling apart and we're on the brink of divorce. But my most solid, like the best kind of leader and person that I want to be is highly successful at work and in my relationships. Then we would work on the clarity of like, okay, paint the picture for me then. What does being highly successful in your marriage look like? And let's make the steps to get there. Does that make sense? So I would absolutely start with clarity and painting the picture of what you actually want your life to look like overall.
And that's the question you asked me was, what do you want your life to look like? And I was like, that's a hard question. I mean, you just don't sit down and think about that. Sometimes you have kids, you get married, you have kids, you work, and then a few years later, you're like, wait, I'm just doing life. What do I want my life to look like?
Yeah. And that's one of the bittersweet gifts of life, I think, is it loves to stay full, and it will absolutely stay full and overflowing. And the goal is to keep it full of what you want it full of instead of, letting it just happen.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel like we miss that, I would say I was missing that. And whenever I answered those questions, I got clarity and it became clear. And I felt like I got purpose and recentered. So I love that question. What do you want your life to look like? It's a good one.
Yeah.
So we're getting down to the end. What is the most overlooked skill for long-term leadership success in tech? I'm trying to think. Overlooked skill.
Overlooked skill. Okay, so I'm kind of reviewing in my mind what their pain points are and what problems often come up, or what weights that they often have. And what's coming up for me is often it's the burnout, and it's also the communication, lacking ability to communicate and understand and empathize with others where they're coming from. And so I think one of the most underlooked skill is your energy, generating the kind of energy that you want. A lot of people, it's widely accepted with the people that I've worked with is that either I have energy or I don't. And whether it's energy to get out of bed in the morning and like how you start your day to, oh, I just don't have the energy to deal with this person right now, even though I have to. And so there's that understanding that I just have it, but that's just not true. You actually generate your own energy. And I do this practice with my clients too on our energy curriculum of so how do you recenter and calm your energy when you're stressed and your mind is everywhere and you're just so overloaded that you can't even think straight and you're already burnt out before you've even started your day. How do we come down from that? And then how do we generate the kind of energy that we want? You don't want to go into a board meeting where you're needing to ask for more funds and support and go in there being like, oh, they're not even going to listen to me. They don't even understand the words that, like my tech words that I'm saying. How am I going to get across to them that what I do is important? You want to go into that with, okay, this is where I get to stay curious. I'm going to go in here looking forward to my ability to build the skill of communicating better, understanding what they need, understanding how I can paint the picture for them, how my job actually helps them and what it might cost them if they don't invest in me and my team. Does that make sense? So I feel like the most from my experience, the most underrated skill would be generating your energy.
Well, and I had a question about that, about energy management and not just time management, because we can master our time management, but if we don't show up with the energy to execute, then, I can have my whole day scheduled, but if I don't show up with energy, it feels like I still don't get anything done, because I don't have that energy behind it. Like you said, going into a board meeting, ready to change everybody's mind.
Yeah.
About we need this, I know our leaders have to do that quite a bit and get the proper funding for projects and things. And I know that's a pain point for them as well, because like you said, not everybody talks IT tech. And so it's hard to illustrate that to them, to these teams. So that's good. That's good advice. I guess that's about all the questions I have. Do you have anything you want to talk about? I know you had some questions.
Okay, let's see. I'm not even sure where where to start. Okay, so I would love to know from an IT person's perspective, what in an ideal world, let's say you either one person on your team or your team hired a coach. What would success look like for you by like the end of the first week even? Like we'll make it really short. Like what kind of results would you be looking for when hiring a coach?
I would say just that energy with the team. I feel like and we're in the remote, all of us, I feel like, or half, I would say half and half are remote. I know our team at Next Step is mainly remote. And so we've tried to enforce cameras on all the time and just trying to have that connection. Because I feel like if you can't see somebody, if our faces weren't on here, it's just like, I'm not talking to a person. It makes it more real. Like you're real. I see you, even though you're not in the room with me. I think all that matters. But my point being just, coaching, just having that together and that camaraderie and just we're in it together.
A better quality team culture. That's
right.
That's
I would say the culture. Well. That's at Next Step. We really, what's the word I'm looking for? Hold tight to our culture. Like we're proud of our culture. We're sympathetic with our clients and with our employees, and I feel like we're very caring and really like We're not just trying to create,
not just a numbers game too.
Yeah, no, it's real people and real lives, and we always want to show up in every way we can and meet our clients' needs. So, um, and that's the same as our employees. So I would say the culture and the camaraderie. We have a weekly call, and that's very nice. It's very nice to, see everybody and, kind of touch in on everybody, because we have teams. We have the managed service team, the Department of Defense team, the cyber team, the engineer networking team, and we have a sales team. So we have all of these individual teams, and so coaching for everybody's team, that would be great, And then as a company, would you say you would coach teams or like company wide?
Depends on the size of the company. But I know there's both like individual coaching and group coaching. And so it's just going to depend on the needs of the individual company and or the teams. Yeah, that would just be a discussion. So my other question is, what do you love about being in cybersecurity? Like so we've talked about the stresses and the weight that a lot of the leaders, like your teams, have to carry every day. Like there's a lot of risk involved and a lot of pressure, and it could make someone outside of tech be like, okay, so why do they want these jobs? Like why is this important to them? What are they what excites them about their job, and why do they want to stay in this career? What made them choose it? So I can ask you individually, or you can just
the
team.
Well, I'm not real techie, but I would say with our teams that are, because I'm more of the admin side and the business side, but I feel like those guys and girls are just very special. I mean, if you understand tech, it's a different language to me. And I feel like and now today's world, I mean, you've got to be, everything is tech now. I mean, every job you have, and cybersecurity is so important now. You have to have it. And there's different avenues to go down with cyber security. You can hire, you can do pen testing, so many different things with cybersecurity. But every company needs to have a cybersecurity expert or some kind of system in place for security breaches and recovery, because it's scary out there with all the cyber incidents. Just on your personal, just normal emails. I'm always calling my dad, like, don't, telling him, the bank, if the bank calls you to change your password or something like that, don't fall for it, just
there's no Siberian princess out there who needs like your help.
No. So I feel like you just got to be always on guard. But
do you feel I know AI has been around a while, but I feel from an outsider's perspective, it seems as if even since like 2022, AI has come leaps and bounds. And I imagine with that, the attacks and breaches have become more sophisticated as well. So how has that affected like your team culture or how you guys like come into work and how you feel coming into work at all?
Yes, I mean, that's why we like to use our cameras, and we're very aware. That's always top of discussion, being aware. And our cyber team could probably answer that question better than I could. But yeah, the AI it's even causing a problem with distribution because, you know, AI is so prevalent now, and so a lot of distributions are having issues with providing products as well. So because AI is ordering up all these parts and pieces, and it's just wild what AI is doing now. But um, we've had on previous podcasts how it has really um, the good and the bad. There's good and bad that come with it.
Yeah.
But just being mindful of the bad and being aware of it, um, being educated on it. So,
Yeah. I like that. There was one other question. I don't know if I missed it, but let me look through my notes here because I wanted to ask you more about it. See if I can find it. I may have lost it. Oh, tell me about one of your questions was how should executives reassess success as they more and more come into senior roles?
well, yeah,
Can
I
you
was
tell me a
thinking,
little bit more about that one?
yes, like I feel like most CISOs I feel like when we talk with CISOs or higher performers, they start out probably as an engineer or director of IT or something like that, and they move their way up. And we've always in every podcast we ask the question, what are some principles you went by to make it to the top, basically. And so that's what I was going to ask you of what you thought. I'm trying to think back to what they said. It was always about like team and culture and being serving and not self-serving and serving others. And I'm trying to remember. I have interviewed two ladies and two men. And it was very interesting how the women, in that role is scary because they're the minority of the group, but they are on fire, and they're on fire for their team. And I think that's what's gotten them there is their momentum and their advocate for their team and communicate well, I would say.
Yeah.
But
Awesome. So I was thinking, so what I pictured when I read that question, how can executives reassess success as they move more into senior roles? I imagined both my position and then a couple other scenarios where someone moved up to they got promoted at work, and so now they're a manager of a team or whatnot. And one of the not often talked about sort of shifts that happen is, like you said, like someone who comes from the IT department and then they're moved up to a promotion. They're leading an IT department now. What can often happen is they forget to stop doing that job, if that makes sense, and start stepping into their new role. And so, for example, when I had started my first business in health and fitness coaching, I had hired an assistant to do just, sort emails and whatnot, the stuff that made me want to just
pull your
my
hair
eyeball out with a spoon instead of instead of doing it. But what I noticed about myself in retrospect is she would do it, and I didn't realize at the time, but I had such trouble letting her do it. Like, her job was to answer my emails, but the moment I would sit down to my computer to answer my messages and such, is I would go check my email first and sort my email. And she'd be like, I thought I was doing that. Why are you doing my job? Kind of thing. And I was just like, oh man. So moving to a higher position also means remembering to let people do their jobs, even if you used to do it, if that makes sense. And it brings up the story. Have you ever heard? I don't know if this is what it's actually called, but it's the rowboat theory. The rowboat story. Okay, so this man he's on a journey walking across the country, and he comes to a river, and he realizes, I can't get across this river. So there's some trees, and he starts building his rowboat. He builds this beautiful rowboat, takes the time and builds the skills, and he makes it. He gets across the river. When he gets across the river, he gets out and he says, I'm going to still be going this way, and I might come to a river again. And so he ties this rowboat around his waist, and he's dragging it for miles and miles. And he's moving so slow until he looks up, and here he's in the middle of a desert. And he's like, I got to keep this rowboat in case I come to another river. So he goes a little bit further, and finally he's so burnt out, and he just drops to his knees. And he realizes, hold on, I'm in the middle of a desert. I don't need this rowboat anymore. So he unties it and releases it and is able to continue on his journey. And I think one of the things in business or even life, when it comes to when you're up leveling, promoting at work or promoting in your life, it's so easy to cling to the things that got you there and think, okay, this is going to work for me in this new position, but it isn't. Being able to release and like delegate your rowboat to someone else or give it to somebody else who's going across their river. And you don't have to delete it and be like, okay, I don't ever need a rowboat. You get to move forward, not pulling your rowboat because you know you have the skills to build another one if you come to another river. But if you can release that, delegate, and step into your new role, you're going to build that momentum and be much faster. And you're going to have a lot more energy doing it.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good. Yeah, I see that a lot, where they don't let go of that rowboat. And then that causes burnout, and then, just a ripple effect. So yes, that's good.
So letting your team do their job.
Yeah.
And it might be different than you do it, but different doesn't mean wrong. It's just different.
Right. That's good. Well, I have enjoyed our talk so much. I do want to know to share with our listeners where they can find you or the best way to reach out to you for coaching or anything like that.
Yeah. So if you just kind of want to follow along with me, I'm on Instagram a lot. You're going to see a lot of coaching in real life scenarios. And I usually share coaching tidbits just in my own real life. And then you can also, if you want to look more into the coaching side, you can find me at AnnebelleDavies.com. And I offer free 15-minute consults, or you can do just a one-off 1-hour strategy session with me. Those are really powerful to kind of get your foot in the door and give you a taste of what high performance coaching feels like without you having to commit to my 12-week program. But if you want to do a 12-week program and you're like, all right, this is who I need in my life right now to help me reach high performance in my life, then give me a call. We'll do a strategy session. We'll get you started.
Okay. And you said you do groups as well?
I do, but I'm very selective with them. Okay. I will put that out. I'm not going to do group coaching for everybody. Okay. However, I really like to like who I work with. And I think that's why I love my free coaching sessions, because I may not always be the best fit for you, and you may not always be the best fit for me. So we're going to make sure that we're a good fit. And when I work with groups, it's a little bit harder to get that one-on-one time with them. But as long as I speak to the leader of the group and we connect, I think the team is going to be amazing too.
Okay, good. Well, I'll put all that information in the show notes. So if anybody wants to reach out, they can. So I really appreciate you meeting with us today. And I know our listeners will take a lot back to their teams as well. So I really appreciate it. And thank you for joining us today.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me come and serve.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the NSI podcast. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share the episode. Got questions or topics you want us to cover? Reach out. We'd love to hear from you. For more information, visit us at nextstepinnovation.com.